Okay, I think we're running a little bit late today, so I apologize. I just got back, so um, we're gonna start right into this. So one of the things that I want people to understand that there are benefits to foam rolling, and obviously the sooner you start foam rolling, the better. And there's just wonderful things that we get from foam rolling. So one of the benefits we get with purposeful foam rolling is exercise, and I don't think people realize how strenuous foam rolling should be if you're doing it correctly. If you're doing foam rolling against the wall, you're doing wall squats. If you're on the floor, you've got to get down to the floor. You've got to get back up onto the floor. When you are getting yourself in position on the foam roller, you've got to roll, you got to twist, you got to bend. There's a lot of movement. In fact, you should be sweating when you are foam rolling because it should be a workout. It shouldn't be something that's taken lightly. And I always joke when I talk to my new clients, you see those people at the gym and they're foam rolling and they should have a tequila sunrise and a magazine because they're doing nothing but enjoying. It's a vacation. It's the thing they do at the end of their exercise when foam rolling really should be part of your exercise routine. Okay, so you get many benefits. One of those is exercise. Think about this. When you are foam rolling the back of your shoulders, so if I'm foam rolling the back of my shoulders, right, and I really want to get into it, what do? I lift my rear end up, and when I do that, I am doing what's called a bridge. And if you tighten your glutes when you do that, you're working your glutes. So by bringing your body up and getting yourself in a perfect bridge position, you're performing the bridge, and there's a lot of benefit to that movement, to that exercise technique. Another one, when you're foam rolling the front of your upper legs, you are putting yourself into a plank. If you think about this, you got your arms down on the ground, your legs are out in front of you, and if your body's in correct position, you're doing a very good plank. So that's just two simple exercises that you're doing when you are foam rolling. And think about that, when you're foam rolling, you're actually adding movement into your exercise routine. So we talked a lot about that on Purposeful Foam Rolling Community. I did more examples of that. But what I want to do is talk about a muscle that can be impacted when we are doing a bridge or a plank, and that is the abdominals, and one muscle in particular, the transverse abdominis. And that is this muscle right here on Mr. Manning, transverse abdominis. There's 4 abdominal muscles. This one is the deepest. It is more, it runs from the back to the front of the body as opposed to the other abdominals are running up and down pretty much at an angle. This one is horizontal, if you think about it that way. It's coming from the back all over. We'll tell you where its total location is at, but it's really occupies the space from the back all over to the front. Pretty cool for abdominal muscles. So this is the deepest of the 4, and I would say probably the least well known, or least known by most people. And if you think about it, transverse abdominis would really be your weight belt of the body, the weight belt of the body. It's really designed to sort of protect your back when we're doing heavy lifting. So let's talk about this muscle. Where is this muscle at? Well, if we show Mr. Manny here, we'll turn Mr. Manny around to the front. There we go. It's the orange part that we're talking about here. It would be on both sides of the body. It really runs from the xyloid process, the very bottom of your chest here, all the way down to your pubic bone. So along this whole line, there's a tendinous material that this thing is connecting to with rectus abdominis. Then it runs all the way along the side, all the way along the side. And we'll get turned around here. There we go. All the way to the back. So really from this area down here, which is really close to your sacrum, all the way up to where your ribs are at. And it's actually connecting to the ribs and to the ridge of your hip along there. So it's a fairly large muscle. It runs a long distance. Well, let's get Mr. Manny over here correctly so he doesn't fall down. Perfect. Okay, so how do we find that on ourselves? Let's see if I can pick this up a little bit. Okay, let's do this. So we take our hands and just put it right on our hips, just like this. Now, Mr. Manny can't do this, but we can. And I got my hands right where my hip, the ridge of my hip is, right where my belt line is. But if I bring it up into that smooshy zone, which is between the rib cage and my hip, this is where transverse abdominis is. And my fingers are going to run over here, right on, just before I get to rectus abdominis, this is the location of the front of it, right up in here. And you can feel that. That's the muscle. As you squeeze in, that's where you're feeling it. And if I put it in the back, then I can put it right in my lower back, so between my ribs and where my hip is at, right here. That's the whole location of transverse abdominis. So that's how you can find it on yourself. So what does this muscle do? Let's see if I can. So basically, like all the abdominal muscles, it's sort of supporting our abdominal region, our internal organs. It's providing stability and support for the back. It is really it helps us when we have forced expiration. We're breathing out heavily, sneezing, coughing. This is a muscle that's involved in that's helping with that. It also provides us with very good posture. It keeps our visceral, everything on the inside of our gut up and support it so it doesn't. It helps it not be pulled down by gravity. I think that's a good way to say it. So it does a lot of things. It does pretty much the same type of work that the other abdominals do, although it is protecting this back because of the way it's designed to tighten. So when you pull your belly button in and you're tightening down your core, you're really providing a cylinder around that really is like having a weight belt around your center here so that it's supported. So when you're doing heavy lifting and that type of stuff, it protects your back. So the transverse abdominis is a very important muscle. But like all muscles, it can develop hyperirritated points. This particular one has two right there. And these can be quite mean and nasty. They're not the nicest trigger points in the world, or referral pain. So if I pull Mr. Manny down his pants down just a little bit here, you'll notice this red area right in here. It can cause pain to originate in any one of these areas. Now, again, it can be on the left and the right. I just happen to draw this on the right. But this is the area that you can feel it all the way up into the chest, the ribs a bit. It can cross your center line, the belly button area, and down into the groin. So basically, yes, you can pain into the xyloid process right up here. Coughing can be really painful when this muscle is activated. So when you are coughing, which is forced breathing out, right? Exhalation, this muscle, if it's tight, will really cause a lot of pain. You'll notice that pain more readily, I guess, if you've got if you're coughing. Indications that this muscle is tight: you can have pain in the groin muscles. You can have heartburn, nausea, vomiting, bloating, diarrhea, disc pain, lower disc pain, bedwetting in children. So very interesting patterns for just a muscle that, so it's not just pain that it can cause all of this. It can cause heartburn, nausea, vomiting, bloating, a bloating feeling, diarrhea, just from these two trigger points right here. So again, trigger points don't necessarily just fire off pain. They can create other symptoms that can be quite uncomfortable. Okay, so what do we do about it? Well, this is definitely not a muscle that you're going to be foam rolling a lot. So if you feel like you have trigger points in here, if you got this type of pain or some bloating, diarrhea, heartburn, and other medical issues have been ruled out, then it might be these trigger points. And that's when you would need a therapist to come in and work on this. A massage therapist, physical therapist, somebody who knows how to get in here and work and release these trigger points. Now, something you could do, you can stretch this muscle and see if that helps. So we'll get Mr. Manny out of the way here. Okay. All right. So again, a hot, moist heat pad, and then a warm towel. So placing the warm towel over the abdominals, and then putting a hot, moist towel on top of that and just warm this area up will go work. It'll do miles for you. It's amazing. Just that moist heat pack will do wonders. And then we can stretch. So stretching, we can do cobras. Let's see if I can do this on the ground here. Okay, a cobra would just be a cobra coming up like this and stretching this whole area out. I can do a cobra with a stretch. or twist, I guess, and stretch that all out. And I can do a side bend, just like this. I'm just doing a stretch and stretching this whole thing out. So those are wonderful stretches. If you have a tight back, or if you have back issues, I wouldn't do those until I got checked out by a doctor or my physical therapist. Just make sure everything's healthy in there. But those are some nice stretches. If you feel like you have a trigger point in there and you just can't get rid of it, then getting somebody in there who's comfortable working with the abdominals, fantastic. I've done quite a bit of work there on people, and we've had great results. So, Purposeful Foam Rolling has benefits. One of those is exercise that you get when you're working and moving and twisting and turning and all that wonderful stuff. And some of those exercises that you are doing can aggravate the abdominal muscles, because those are the muscles that are being benefited by the bridge and the plank. If they get upset, we want to make sure we stretch them and have them worked on. And hopefully this video was a wonderful adjunct to your foam rolling routine. All right, have a great day and take care.